Yep. And we are
And you're
live.
right. Another free flow Saturday where
Yes.
I get to test my multitasking skills as I try to follow the Formula One sprint today.
Yeah. Just make
So
sure
how's
you're
it?
present. Yeah, it's been
So
good. It's a good week.
okay.
It's been what's been the major highlight?
Mm,
Uh yeah, I mean I think the usual stuff, nothing
mm,
major. Fairly slow week, I
okay.
would say, business wise. But
Okay.
tunaendelea tu. Nini
So by
imefanyika
the way,
around us?
Karibu sana Sharif Mustafa. Uh,
Oh,
so our finally the finance bill got uh, got an okay from
you
the
know,
court.
I was expecting that. I thought somebody once also was saying that this was just a way of managing people's expectations.
So
It seems like it was a given. It seems like it was a
now
given from my perspective.
we call
So
we call it a gay honeymoon. So now just bend over, apply lube, apply lube. The
let it,
shafting is about to
oh my
be.
goodness, bro. Eh?
Already Safaricom have announced 16% increment in their, I don't know, whatever they charge in their transaction.
Excise, yeah, the excise
Yes,
duty. I saw.
yes,
So yeah, so this will mean there was a reduction. I think it will be increases around money transfer, but there will be
yeah.
a reduction on excise duty with regards to data and voice.
Mm,
Then you've got, of course, fuel has gone up. I don't know if they had already applied that 16% because even
mm,
before, while this bill was in court,
mm,
at the time is when they had already increased the fuel cost. So I don't know
mm,
if there'll be another increase
mm,
despite this, because it's from what I was hearing and I haven't been following this keenly. Was there was already sort of some aspects of that financial bill that were already actualized, one being the fuel increase. So yeah, you've got all these things happening. Of course, you also have, it seems like there's a lot of instability happening across the central part of Africa. You've got Niger,
yeah.
Sudan already, imploded about a month or so ago. Yeah, so a lot. So there's a lot of geopolitical activity, a shift happening. Of course, it's sort of some of those. These are mostly francophone countries, and of course, one being a Muslim country, which is Sudan. On the francophone side, you're seeing it's like France is losing sort of their control of their former colonies.
Yeah. Well, it is what it is, and let's prepare for the shaft work. We
Mm,
asked for it. Now we
mm.
get it. Mm,
And we get it, man.
mm, mm.
Yeah. So
And you see now that will affect everything.
particularly, yeah, when
Mm,
fuel costs, it's sort of the engine that runs the
mm,
core ingredient that runs that economic engine. So
mm,
when there's an increase, then everything
mm,
else, it's a domino effect. So
mm,
food
mm,
prices, um, everything across the board will increase. So man,
mm.
we are in for some crazy times. So it's now anyone being smart is figuring out, how do I increase my income sources? Because it's one to complain about it, it's one to go to the streets and protest, but many a
That is,
times.
but what about coming up with ways of going around it?
Correct.
That is
What do
why.
you have?
That is why You see, creatures as majestic as lions can live in the Masai Mara, but if you
Mhm.
take them to the desert, they are going to die. But in the Masai Mara region, we have human beings, and also have human beings in the desert. Our key defining characteristic is uh, adapting and then overcoming.
Mm.
So where is the adaptation? Where is the and I was thinking so hard about something. You remember what we talked about? Uh, what is this? They talked about the truck loading thing, whereby trucks are loaded on a train.
Yeah, yeah.
What made me think so much about it again was on the aspect of diesel consumption.
Mm.
You see, at the very least, that truck will consume. We at very most will have two locomotives. It's called front double heading. Two
Mm.
locomotives double heading. Then we have maybe 25 trucks being loaded
Mhm.
there. Obviously, those locomotives are more efficient. They'll consume far less fuel than those 25 trucks
Mhm.
because the truck is slowing down, increasing traffic jam, but the train just goes, uh, it has a clear way. So, can you imagine? Let's say we have between Mombasa and Nairobi, we have two trucks, uh, uh, I mean, two trains, each from
Mhm.
Mombasa, one from Mombasa, one from Nairobi.
I can see your attention is being divided. I think
20,
just shut it down and
let me shut it down because if
we'll be
let me
done
just shut it down.
in 50 minutes.
If I continue like this, the renew will last. Itakuwa shida. So I'll just watch the highlights. Saa zingine, you
Yeah,
swallow
yeah.
the bitter pill. You swallow the
Don't
bitter
worry.
pill. Hakuna shida.
Yeah,
Because I
yeah,
noticed I was talking my own things.
yeah,
Now we are back. Cool. I was nearly about to say something funny. So
yeah.
we have two trains, one from Nairobi, another one from Mombasa,
Hmm.
each one carrying 25 trucks. That is 50 trucks.
Hmm.
How much diesel are we saving from 50 trucks? Now, imagine that's on a daily basis. 50 times 30, 1,500 trucks. How much
Hmm.
diesel are we saving?
Hmm.
Now, imagine you are doing, let's say, three trucks each side. That is three trains each, that is six.
Hmm.
1,500 times six, that is 9,000 trucks. Imagine the diesel you are saving on there. Not talk about diesel, talk about the dollars you are saving because this diesel is imported. Now go to the meter gauge. They normally do the swap at Embakasi.
Hmm.
You have trucks, you have a train that can go to Kisumu,
Hmm.
passing through, and all these trucks, all these trains pass through Eldoret and Nakuru.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
one goes to Kisumu, that one there's a train, there's a rail line that goes to Malaba. If they adopt such kind of policy, they say for every truck that is covering a distance of over 250 kilometers, we give you an opportunity to ride the train.
Hmm.
So how much diesel are you saving? Automatically, the dollar will go down because the volume of trucks I've used the Nairobi to Busia highway between Nairobi and Nakuru. The traffic is crazy. In fact, Nairobi to Kisumu, the traffic is crazy with all manner of trucks.
Hmm.
So imagine
So
loading
you
all of
reduce.
them on the train and the dollars. It's not Chantel one, Mustafa. It is Formula One. There was Formula One I was watching there that is screwing me up. So you
Hmm.
can imagine the volume of diesel, the volume, because you talk of trucks, you talk of volume of diesel. Secondly,
Hmm.
when these trucks are riding on the train, there's minimum wear and tear. So the tires that are used by those trucks are replaced at a lower rate. Those trucks are imported in dollars. Wear and tear components for servicing, lubricant, filters, bushes, springs, suspension, all those are imported on dollars. The rate at which you are buying these things will go down drastically. Imagine you have a truck that is going to Malaba. So from Mombasa to Nairobi, you load it on a truck. From Mombasa, it will take you 6 hours to get to Syokimau, or maybe you're offloading it somewhere near Mbeke. Let's say Syokimau. Then from Syokimau, you drive or you go to Embakasi. So from Embakasi, you're loaded to another truck from another train that is going to Malaba. I know Mombasa, Nairobi by the SGR is 6 hours.
Mhm.
Then from Nairobi to Malaba, you're talking about 13 hours. So within 19 hours, your truck is at the border.
No,
Time
no
saving,
doubt. No
fuel saving,
doubt.
and
There's a
and
lot of benefits we'll get out of it.
now use the
And
multiply effect to
exactly.
now link it to the dollar requirement.
Mm.
How much are you saving? How much are you saving? So these are policies. Is not even, you are not inventing anything. You are not even talking about hybrid. I don't know, electric. No, just some simple policies, policy
Overnight, and
adjustment.
it
We are
changes
not.
everything.
We are not saying, oh, so you bring your truck, we convert it. That is a later stage. You can just play around with policy here and there. That means this truck, for example, the guy who's maybe taking his truck to Nairobi is driving to Nairobi. You have a delivery to Nairobi. You load it on the train 6 hours. Whatever the train, the railway is going to charge you is obviously less than what you spend on fuel.
I mean, when you think about cargo transportation,
Hmm,
train is the most efficient way.
hmm.
The challenge with train, of course, is the last mile.
Last
So
mile.
you want the bulk of the cargo that you offload from the sea or from
Hmm,
a ship to be
hmm,
put straight on a rail cart, and for it to be transported to its
hmm,
most nearest point, and then from there trucks can take that on board. So it
hmm.
could be a combination of cargo loaded on
Yeah.
trains and also
Hmm,
lorries loaded on
hmm.
trains,
It is driven on
on
the
the
ramped up.
uh, put
Mm,
up on the ramp, and then
mm,
I'm sure, of course, it won't be all the trucks, but what you've done is, of course, reduce that traffic on the road. You've
mm,
reduced probably, I think if they were to look at it after a month, they'll probably find a reduction in accidents and reduction in these leakages of products. We've seen a lot of trains that have, you know, uh, just fallen off the highway, and what do people do? They run in and steal all the cargo that was there. So all these things you'll have reduced.
And then
And as you
also,
say, the effect of things like the dollar, how much fuel we need to consume gets reduced, and then also prices will not be in fact. So these are the sort of, despite the increase in taxes, we could, in essence, be able to maintain the same cost
you are
that we
simply
have,
making things
or even
efficient, just
reduce it.
efficiency.
Yeah,
Yeah.
efficiency, increase in
You are just
efficiency.
efficiency. So, um, when you look at things, we talk of EVs and hybrids. Something those are what we call long-term solution, or what we call far-flung solutions. But let's work on our efficiency.
Mm,
The railway line has been there for ages. Just put a ramp, and you see the good thing about business is naturally competitive.
mm,
There'll be a few, okay, there'll be some truck owners who will say, I am not used to that. But
mm,
when they see that, you see the truck of your competitor's truck has gone to Nairobi and come back in 12 hours or 15 hours, your truck has gotten to Nairobi and come back to Mombasa, automatically you'll say, hey, I have to take that one also. You're not
mm,
going to sit back and relax when you see you are taking your truck to your truck is being driven. Your competitor's truck is being loaded on an SGR.
mm,
6 hours is in
mm,
Nairobi. You are 6 hours. I don't know his way has passed through a way bridge. My little way bridge has a problem. The way bridge, there's normally a very huge jam there. I don't know, my particular may overload. By the time your vehicle is getting to Nairobi, this other one is on the next SGR back to Mombasa. By the
mm,
time this other truck is now offloading in Nairobi, this other one has come back to Mombasa, is loading again
mm,
on the next trip. Automatically, as a businessman, you will say, oh, no, soon there may even be a scramble for those truck on train services.
mm,
Those trains will have to be increased then. It will be heaven.
Increase the
And
cycles so
within
that they should use
within
more.
and when you run, let's say you have to you only I think you can only run 2 trains in 1 month for the speculation, because the dollar changes before even the diesel consumption goes down. The
Mm,
speculation of diesel consumption going down affects the
mm,
dollar.
mm,
So you run one train, the dollar starts taking a dip. Imagine when you have like 5 trains, each from each side, Mombasa, Nairobi, 5 trains, 25 times 5, that is 125 times 2, 250 trucks times
They
the
should
diesel.
even maybe even work out, decide to make sure that it's not a 24-hour service. Those
Yeah,
things should be
24 service,
running
because
one after the
everyone will
other.
be looking for it.
Mm,
Because the drivers will be saying, hey, like fleet managers are looking at the vehicle turnaround. The turnaround for company A is 18 hours. And you 18 hours when you are getting to your destination. It's abnormal. And then the vehicle wear and tear. This guy is changing springs like I don't know how often, and the punctures and what. This guy, his vehicle is driven for at most 5 kilometers, loaded on a truck. Engine is off for 6 hours. Now, for those who are traveling, who do like they travel, their trucks travel all the way to Western. Imagine, assuming so far you have not activated the MGR from Nairobi to Kisumu or Malaba. It's even advantage because from Mombasa to Nairobi, your driver is sleeping. You take care of fatigue. He fires up his engine from Athi River when it's fresh. And apart from that, if you are doing Mombasa to Western, half of the journey your vehicle is off. Your fuel consumption is adjusted. Then if the railways introduces what you call a subscription service, whereby if a truck company is well managed, you can do a subscription for 30 days with good discounts. So that it becomes a check off, like the way like a prepaid meter. For every trip on the train, you count, you tick it off, you tick it off. Then you get since you've paid for it, you get another invoice for the next month. To come out. Automatically, the dollar will take a hit because diesel is our biggest consumer. But now you have to ask yourself, will there be the political will to it? Because once you do that, the fuel cartels uh, will now take a hit, because the heavy consumer of the diesel will be the locomotives, which are very efficient, and I don't think Kenya Railways will accept cartels tampering in their business. You have shielded the cartels from the businessmen or the truck businessmen. So again, if you look at the political goodwill, will that take off? That's the key question. Political goodwill. And like that video I sent for, like Kibe normally says, is it a problem to your head or to someone's head? Because there are two heads, two classes of heads. There are heads whose minds don't matter, like me. Then there are heads whose minds matter. Those heads whose minds matter, is unemployment an issue to them? I highly doubt, because if the unemployment is solved, I think the Kenya political engine will suffer a serious case of fuel starvation, where you will get the masses to chant your names and do all manner of funny things. They are already empowered, and an empowered population can really pressurize the political machine. Some of these interests you won't hear from people, because a leader tries to talk nonsense. He'll be put to spot. Hey, listen, we need A, B, C, D done because our businesses are like this. We need to explore foreign markets because we have a lot of products and whatnot. A typical Kenyan politician will not able to deal with that. So then ask yourself, does the see the Kenyan political engine is fueled by economic puniness? You empower people, that engine will get a diesel cut. So
mm,
these two like this product, I sent you a video of a fully fledged assembly line for the Mobius. Very impressive. Now imagine we pass a law that all 47 counties, in their SUV requirements, it has to be a Mobius. No more Prado, no more Pajero, no more Isuzu Trooper or whatnot. It has to be Mobius.
Mobile.
Imagine 47 counties each buying 10 Mobius, 470. Go to the parastatals, KPA, KRA, Kenya Maritime, Kenya Urban Roads, Kenya Railways, all of them buying a minimum of 20 Mobius. Then
Yeah,
you
I mean, when I was listening to that video, you could see that these guys are able to sell up to about, I think, 200 units in a year.
yeah. Now imagine now we
So now, if you
get a quota.
jumpstart, exactly.
You have 47 counties, each ordering 10. Those are 470. Those guys
And
will be
this,
so busy employing, and it will be a 24-hour operation. Now, next order of business, the Taifa laptops. Same route. Any computer requirement from the 47 counties has to be from the Taifa laptop. No more HP, no more Dell, no more Compaq, no more IBM. And let's say each county is buying 50 laptops. 50 times 40, that is over 2,000 laptops. Now, those are counties. Go to the parastatals again. Let's say each parastatal is buying 70.
schools. Mm.
Now, schools, parastatals. Then you approach people like Safaricom in the ICT sector, where they consume so much of these components. You're not going to force them. You give them an incentive. Tell them if 30% of your IT requirements are served by the Taifa project, we'll give you this tax incentive. Banking facilities. Banks, I don't know, government affiliated banks like KCB, Coop, and NBK, I don't know if they're still government. Those them, you say them it's compulsory, 100% of requirements have to be Taifa. That's why I say this problem of unemployment, we may be making noise like mad people. There's someone who's happy that you are unemployed.
And exactly, and
Yeah.
this is what an economy is about.
Yeah.
It's money
But
just circulating internally where we are producing products consumed locally. Because as we've
but the
seen,
problem may be in our heads only.
it is.
This
It
problem
is. It is in our heads, and then there's also the element of greed,
yeah.
where because anything we are saying here is a no-brainer. Government has got the best brains there are out there. These are things I would bet they have discussed and they
They
know
have
about.
discussed, and
But
chances
because
are they have decided against.
exactly because their interests, their
Yeah,
interests.
as I said, the moment we have an economically empowered electorate, the political engine will actually fail. It will in aviation industry, as I was told by my friends in aviation, is called fuel starvation. That
Mm,
engine will knock very fast. You won't know what happened.
mm,
People have to be impoverished. That's how the system works. And
mm,
an impoverished nation is an impoverished citizenship is easy to control. Is easy to maneuver. Why do you think there are no clashes in Runda or Karen or I don't know Kitusur or whatever place or Nyali or Kizingo? How come you don't hear those clashes or whatever stuff that is those aggressive behavior? How come you don't hear it there? You're empowered. You know your way through. You know how to maneuver around some things. So
mm.
this is what the system runs on, and the crowds are like a form of mercenary. When you are in opposition, you want the crowds. When you are in government, you don't want the crowds. Those who are who are previously in government, now they want the crowds.
Mm,
So the crowds is like a car for hire. Everyone wants a piece of it at a particular time. So we cannot have that. We cannot. The political system cannot operate that way. The only way around it is me and you as individuals to come up with ways of going around this system, a sort of
exactly.
bypassing the matrix. Because if you say you go the activism way, you don't know who are part of your crowd.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there
You have
you're just
no
feeding
proof.
that victim.
Mm.
victim-fed system. So
Yes. Yeah.
I think in the sort of in the spheres we are in, one thing that
Mm.
we know
Mm.
is you always have to take 110 personal responsibility.
Mm. Mm.
Factors that are outside of you, you
Mm.
cannot control. As
Yeah. So
much as
like.
probably I might be opposed to
Mm.
tax increases and
Mm.
other machination happening within the economy,
Mm.
I have no control of that. What I'll have control is what can I do to
What
put
like.
myself at
Mm.
a better position to be
Mm.
able to fight the situation where probably your dollar now or your money or your shilling goes far
Mm.
much less. So that means I need to add more shillings to
Yeah.
one sustain the lifestyle that I have and still continue progressing.
Yeah.
So this is, and I guess let's discuss actually that in a bit because this the Kenyan politics thing is is a gift that keeps giving in terms of is that part of it actually the way it's designed is just to keep people just talking about it but
It's
doing
like
nothing.
I call it the cabaret show. I don't know
Hmm.
how the cabaret show is like a show that is normally put in a restaurant
Mm.
so that you enjoy seeing and you enjoy eating.
Hmm.
The cabaret is it does not the band does not play like in a like a concert. No, it is specifically for a restaurant or a bar so
Mm,
that
yeah.
you keep on listening and eating and drinking and more listening and shitting and urinating and drinking more. All right.
Yeah,
So.
there's that principle called like the world garden.
Mm,
And they apply the same principle to things like Facebook and a lot of these social media applications that we have or platforms that we have, whereby a Facebook is said to be a walled garden. Once you're in that ecosystem of Facebook, they don't want you to leave it.
yeah.
They'll keep you hooked with your WhatsApp, they'll keep you hooked with your Instagram, they'll keep you hooked on the Facebook platform in itself. They want you to engage there, they want you to trade there. So they want you to find everything there. And that's how you sustain that machine. One, they're keeping they still keep collecting more and more data about you, and
Mm,
then of course selling that same data to corporations that then are able to position the specific service or product that is aligned to your demographic. So it's ensuring you're within. It's like when you go to the sort of the one-stop shop kind of a thing. Once you're there, you find your restaurants there, you find your banking there, you find your barber shop there. So you don't need to go
yeah.
out of that that
You are in
that
an
system.
ecosystem. You are
You're
in
in
an
an ecosystem.
ecosystem,
So
and
I
those
guess what. Mhm. So I
it's a
presume what you're
matrix.
saying with that cabaret
Yeah.
performance is to
You
keep you
see.
consuming what that
Yeah.
restaurant is
You
producing.
say now I'm satisfied. And I went to one cabaret show. It was in a club in Mombasa. I forget the days when I used to club. That cabaret is is not a band. His music is played on a speaker system MP3, but now it has
Mm.
dancers, men and women dancing on stage in cowboy hats, and the women are in skimpy costume. So now you normally say, "I've had enough," but there's a chantel with a very huge ass and a thong and high heels. You are like,
Yeah.
niongezee chapati mbili.
Before you know it's midnight and you've
It's
spent five
midnight,
thousand
and you
shilling
are
there.
full of 5 chapatis, half kg of meat, alcohol. You get to home, you're constipated, you're tired, hangover. You're so pissed off, and you are in that thing. It has just messed you up. So it has existed for a while, as long that the digital businesses have taken over, and we are part of it. That's why you can't say I'm getting out of Facebook to do something. Everything, the advertisements are there. You also have the
Mm-hmm.
messenger and
Oh
whatnot.
man.
So it's just one big machine. It's like those experiments where you have a rat on a treadmill, and the
Mm.
rat thinks it's really moving, and they are just
It's
studying you. They are looking at
like timing.
your click rate. What at this time is normally is asleep. So ensure that when he wakes up in the morning, this is the first thing he sees and whatnot.
Mm.
Yeah, it's irresolute. That's how the
I
system
guess,
is.
and I part of the political, what we call last time the Kenya industrial political complex,
Mm.
uh, is to keep you distracted with all the drama.
Yeah,
So we last week was maandamano from Wednesday.
yeah.
Now it's no longer maandamano. The latest is now the finance bill has now passed through Court of Appeals.
Mm.
Probably there will be a response from the opposition. So they keep you engaged, and you're distracted, and your attention is spread out in all this, and you never get your own time to think about yourself and what you can do, because now, instead of countering this or figuring workarounds, now all you're left is complaining. And then
I call it. I
part
call
of
it
the
the. I call it the KCB, Kenya Complaints Battalion. It's very easy to join there. Oh, it's Serikali. Oh, sijui nini. Oh, this guy is useless. Oh, see. And there's someone next to you who's now contemplating that he's driven a BMW for too long. He needs to buy a Range Rover. And
uh,
here you are. Oh, sweet. And you are looking at you. And we are discussing with someone who I think in Bachia. That energy you spend on complaining,
can
is
you
it joules or mega?
imagine?
If you put that, and if you could sort of quantify those energy into like bottles, this is the
Yeah,
quantity of energy you've consumed in complaining today.
exactly.
In 1 year, you have an entire cylinder of energy. Man, what a screw up. And that is what these people want you to do.
Exactly. And that's how they
Mm,
keep you enslaved.
mm,
So before you know it, you find yourself, it's 10, 20, 30 years later, you're still just where you are.
mm,
Your little sort of moment of reprieve
mm,
is when you get to complain and participate in the banter. So I guess maybe
mm.
that gives you like a fake dopamine high, but your
You think
situation
you think
hasn't
you've said
changed.
something. You think you've said something very good, but
Exactly.
your net worth is still there. It's
In essence, your net worth is actually depreciating, if anything,
depreciating.
instead of
Yeah.
increasing. And
Yeah.
then you don't even think about. Man, there was a thought that escaped me
Mm,
while we were just talking about that.
mm,
Um, but yeah, our focus, our energy is diverted in the wrong things. Yeah, yeah. So actually, when you follow even some of the people that like personal development, if I may call them maybe gurus,
mm,
you'd realize they're never tapped into the day-to-day political drama. Uh, this is irrespective of their geographical location. Be they in America and following up, they never do that. As much as you may want to stay informed, um, much of the information that you listen or watch on TV or read in a daily is all distraction. It's all time wasters. It's all things that sap your energy, and they are not in any, and that's why it's important to stay away from these things. There's nothing, I used to buy the newspaper every day. um Part of
newspaper.
this, I guess, yes, part of this was a few years back. This was
My own TV is for watching movies and documentaries. I don't bother. The last time
exactly.
the what do I call it? Um, Even my aerial system, which is connected to the entire house like a grid, sometimes it fails. Then I sort of try to reprogram it. Like when I was trying to watch that voting for the finance bill, where some of our so-called firebrand MPs, some disappeared, some went into the toilets, some climbed onto the gallery. They said this is the same shit. Then after a while, that signal disappeared, and I've never bothered to reprogram
I
because there's
mean,
nothing there.
even now, partly because of digital media, people rarely now watch your
Mm.
typical TV. They
Yeah,
no longer do that. I mean, now they'll
it's
probably
like
just tune in
I call it
to YouTube.
the NHS, National Hypnosis Show. You're just your emotions are hyped up. Huyu jamani mwizi bwana. Then you are very happy you've vented, but 1 year down the line, you're still the same guy, and
You're still the
chances are
same.
you'll vote for the same person. So
A- and take some time to actually just think about what you've said. It's really an hypnosis system. I think there's somebody who shared an image on Twitter, and it was a picture of people's homes on an apartment block. And at the same time, you could see this home, that home, that home, and that house. They are all tuned in to CNN. I mean, just imagine even what happens to your typical Kenyan household. At 7 p.m. or at 9 p.m., everything stops.
when
At a
I used to, when I
typical
was
Kenyan
growing up,
household, or even at
when
a
I was
bar,
when I
for
was
them to
growing
listen
up,
to news.
7 p.m. everything dad used to no, everything has to be shut down. It's time for
Mhm.
news.
It's time, like that's the one thing.
Mm.
What would happen if you don't watch it? Is the world going to stop? Or is the world going
Well,
to start crumbling down that now that you didn't even watch?
are you going to? Is somebody going to train you on how to make an extra shilling today? No. Waziri was doing alienda mahali fulani. Okay. Sijui nini, mtukufu rais alisema okay, so
And this is part of that hard mentality, because when you think
mm,
about it, and we don't realize this, it's really an hypnosis system.
Now I call the National Hypnosis Show, NHS.
National
Regardless,
hypnosis.
regardless of what is going on, some moja we need to watch.
And you wonder why
Because
people are thinking alike,
you
because
see, at the end
already
of the day,
they have
you
already
know
been
what?
subconsciously programmed.
You know what? If something outstanding has happened, chances are you will know it before the 7 p.m.
Ah,
You will know
now
it if
even
there's
with
been
the
a major accident. You will know it within 1 hour of it happening. You don't have to sit there and
yes,
wait. Oh, sijui nini. Oh, waziri wa sijui nini. Viongozi walikuwa wakiongea katika hafla ya kusijui nini. Like, yeah, what is going on here? But if you tell us something like Railway Corporation has recorded a 15% reduction in their diesel use because of setting up the recovery system for their locomotives. We now have a 15% drop in fuel consumption in the first quarter, and then you start highlighting on the technology that people say, that is it. Now we are talking.
that's
Now
something
we are.
substantial. And I mean, just think about how many times now breaking news has even lost its value, because if you watch particularly these 24-hour news cycles, it's breaking news almost every 5 minutes. So what is it? What is this breaking? The reason I was sharing actually that example of why I used to buy the newspaper, I mean, I guess it's a culture that I also picked up from my dad.
Mm, mm,
So I would, buy the newspaper. Typically, I would read it in the morning just before I go
mm,
to work.
mm,
Then I realized, again, they are sort of regurgitating the same information, or trying to fill it up with all this drama to seem like they are reporting something new. Then I realized actually the single newspaper I need is to be buying the weekly newspaper. So as I buy in the East African, and sometimes also I would buy the Sunday Nation,
and
because
the
it used to
business
have some
daily
nice,
also. Business
the
daily is
Business
okay.
Daily, yes, and I would, because those have got substantial information, sort of
Mm,
actionable information that I can make use of, and you
mm.
don't need to be pumped with all this useless information by the minute. I mean, what is it gonna solve? So it's this kind of, and we've been put in this adrenaline kind of a rush, because even I find myself, sort of scrolling every so often through like a Twitter or something, trying to search for that
The
new
tweet
piece of
is
information. And
there.
there's
Then
nothing.
you're looking for the comment. You're looking for a comment that is going to trigger you. Then you start a war. You are useless. You are another Kenya Kwanza foods. You need. Then the Azimio lot comes in. What you are forgetting is that now your attention is being fed into the digital political engine. It is being
Exactly.
fired up properly. Now
And there are people
circulation lubricant is
monetizing on that.
okay.
there are people monetizing on that attention. Of course,
Yeah.
you've got your advertisers, you've got the politicians that then have to continually feed in you, particularly a victimhood mindset,
Mm.
that kind of impoverished mindset, that the thinking that there'll be a savior coming to save you, while there's no one. It's up to you. It's up to you. So this I guess is the one thing, and I guess part of what yeah, business and technology news,
Yes,
all
that
that
is what
makes
that
sense.
makes sense.
Yeah,
Mm.
I do watch what do you call it, Bloomberg technology. But also even as I watch it, because it happens also, it's a Monday to Friday kind of a cycle.
Mm.
I also see the drama in it because I remember watching just before Elon Musk bought Twitter, and I could see the positioning they always have to give, to sort of put you in suspense. Think like there's a twist and turn to the story of him buying the
Mm.
whole thing. Talking of has it been overpriced? Is this new piece of information that has been received going to change his mind with regards to if it's a buy or not a buy? So even that, because again, you've got a 24-hour
And you
business
and you
news
and you find
cycle.
yourself
You see the drama.
you are thinking
Yeah,
now Elon Musk has been overpriced. You what is it is his money. Why is it such a headache to you?
exactly.
But if you see on the TV Kenya government working on measures to improve efficiency in their diesel system so that less diesel is consumed on national basis, now you can say that is happening. For example, a place where diesel can just be taken out kabisa is in the ferries. Those ferries can be refilled with the petrol because those ferries just go across
Yeah,
Nenda
from
Rudi.
one channel, yeah, across the
Yeah.
channel,
Those
going
can
from
be
one end to the
electrified
other.
and then they are next to the sea. They can have their own tidal power plant there.
Mm.
The tidal power plant runs on what? They have their own tidal power plant where they charge their batteries. So that one, you can imagine that ferry system actually consuming 0 liters of diesel in 1 year. How many millions of dollars are those? And then
And
you
then actually one of the things you raised when I think when you were giving the example of Mobius.
mm,
After watching the sort of the factory floor of it, and the production line of the cars, the number of cars that they produce,
mm,
I think they engage the CEO on what changes to be done with regards to manufacturing. As I was just listening to what you were saying, you said, a single policy which then says, you know, counties, government ministries, parastatals will all be required to use this type of car.
any
Uh,
SUV requirement, Mobius takes it.
Mobius
No
takes it.
argument, no debate. It is an SUV. It's Mobius. End of
So
story.
yeah, so just take that, and then you gave the example of a Taifa laptop. I didn't even actually know about it. Actually, when you mentioned it, I started googling it, and I could see. I think
Mm.
it was a JQuat program.
Yeah, the
So
JQ program.
what essentially you're doing is, because most of our economies in Africa, the way they are constructed, they are mostly externally facing. I don't know if that's the right term. Generally, to mean that um, we position ourselves to a customer who is outside of us. So if it is, Kenya will say our first foreign exchange is what? Is tourism. So every time you'd hear, like now, particularly when you hear there's maandamano, you'll hear complaints that now tourism numbers have gone down. This is impacting our hospitality industry. This is impacting. So every time we are like, no, we are positioning ourselves particularly to the Western market. And if we lose that, we are told, yeah, we'll lose that customer, we'll lose the donor community,
And
we'll lose whatever.
now the question
But
is this.
essentially, what we need to do is to spur that economic engine internally, such
Between
that we are
tourism,
producing and consuming internally. All that will be required now is probably now the manufacturers, the likes of Mobius, saying, we source our engines from India. Can we lobby the government to zero rate this? We source some of our spare parts
Yeah.
from South Korea, from Japan. Can we work with government to zero rate it? I mean, eventually is to see how some of those things can then be produced here. But there will definitely be elements that we have to source externally. But more importantly, is a product which is produced in Kenya and consumed in Kenya. And then even from there, we can now start saying, can we start working with our neighbors and lobby them? Like, I mean, the other thing, maybe just to bring to your attention, Basigo, the guys who are running electric buses in Kenya, of course, they source their buses from China, the BYD company. I was just wondering, why is it we are not using the Ugandan electric buses?
Listen, we have the
Because
Ugandan electric. There's the
when we have that
Ugandan.
engine running internally and regionally, it's for the benefit of everyone. And
Yeah,
then
why?
now these external shocks, we will have insulated ourselves from those external shocks. The dollar rate going high, the fuel cost, and all this stuff. Yeah.
Even Uganda they don't just have uh, these electric buses.
Mm.
Let me say, this is called Toyola.
Yeah, I don't
It's
know.
called
I need to check.
Kayola Diesel Coach.
Yeah,
This
I
is
need
the
to look at. Actually, let me see. Let me pull it up and share.
Kayola Diesel Coach. It's actually based on what do I call it? You
Yeah,
see,
it's called Kira Kayola EVS. Yeah,
that is the.
Kira Motors. Actually, let me open it.
I've just sent you a picture of the diesel version. The diesel is a long distance coach.
Oh, they have both diesel and electric.
Just check your.
I wonder how many they have sold.
Unfortunately, the Kiira diesel coach, no Kayola
Mm,
diesel coach, it is only one company who has bought it, and some company in Uganda. They made two buses for sure. Buses, these are very huge components. They
mm,
are manufactured on order.
mhm.
But for starters, you can have two or three for show and testing. So
Oh,
I
now I
don't know
see
why
why.
the government is not. Just check your WhatsApp. I've sent you the electric version and
Yeah, I
the
see.
diesel. The electric version will give you 300 kilometers on a full charge. I don't know why no Kenya. See, like that electric one is very ideal for staff buses,
Yeah.
schools. You
Is
can
this
even take
electric one or
this is the diesel one. Now this
this a diesel?
design, it
Mhm,
that is a design for I think 19 no 2003. The original this there's a company called Neoplan Zonda, a German
mm,
company. They are the originators of this design. Then Yutong took it. Once
mhm.
Yutong took it, now if you go to China and you ask for any design of a vehicle, they give it to you. They sell you the components. You come and assemble under your own brand. So it is called KDC, Kayola Diesel Coach.
Mm.
6-speed manual gearbox, 360 horsepower. It's a very nice vehicle. The reason why African bus companies have not bought it is just crazy. I don't know why.
I don't know.
Only one company has bought
I,
there's this gray one, then there's a
and
red
just
one.
Yeah, and just think about what that would do. I'm sure Uganda would then even look at setting up a plant in Kenya, because
Kenya.
if the demand for these
Mm,
buses, both
mm,
for commute, long and short
mm.
commute, there's demand for it. So we'll be
Yeah,
sparring. So already you'll have production, support, all these
yeah.
are, and the
Or
whole
you just need to
ecosystem of
say,
spare parts and all that. uh,
yeah,
these are job opportunities.
yeah,
These are industries that we are building, and it's much better buying it from Uganda than going all the way to
And
China.
recently, someone imported, I don't know, 10 in Kenya, some big bus company imported 10 vehicles, I don't know, from China. The other ones are doing local, these imported chassis, the local body. All they can say, you can get to Uganda, tell them I want 15 buses, but since I'm based in Kenya, can you give me technical support for Kenya? They'll say yes,
Yes,
of course.
exactly.
Huh. And after all, these vehicles, we already have Chinese buses in Kenya. Chinese buses in Kenya are part of the Chinese export product which run on Cummins engine. So we have a lot of technical knowledge of the Cummins. As long as we have Yutong and Zongtong operating in Kenya, in Rwanda, there's a company called Trinity. Their buses are Sanlong operating with the Cummins engines. So that technology is all over. So I am failing to see. I don't know. We really hate ourselves. This is
We
the
do hate
Kira.
ourselves. We
This is the
do hate
Kira
us.
EV. This one will give
Yeah.
you 300 kilometers on a full charge. This one is ideal for there are companies which there are businesses which I say transport is a necessary headache. You're in manufacturing, but you have a staff bus. Your business is not staff transport, but it is necessary. This thing will save you money, and the cost of an EV is 85% less fuel budget than of a diesel.
Mm.
And if it is a staff bus, you're only running it morning, evening, or in between shifts. School
Even
buses
just
which run
imagine, not even
school
staff
buses.
bus. Why don't they put this, like the transportation in and around the counties around
Yeah,
Nairobi,
Nairobi
Machakos,
Thika,
Kajiado,
Nairobi Machakos.
Thika?
Nairobi Machakos is around I think 150. This one can
It's
do very well.
it's actually 60 to 70 kilometers. So if you're doing to and fro,
There is
150, and then
120.
come and
Oh,
recharge once you come back on a return trip. So I mean, and of course, remove the
and it will be
minibuses.
attractive because when one is returning, there's another one which is ready, is already boarding and going. So while one is
Exactly.
boarding, another one is charging. You have a fast charger network. Next, schools, which runs only
Schools.
in the morning and evening. Morning trip, collecting students, evening returning students. What is the issue? You can
Yeah.
even
So as you're
convert this
saying,
into a van, vehicles which
yeah.
deliver bread van, with these vans that circulate commodities in the localities. 300 kilometers is more than enough because you are going. In fact, for a factory is even better. The vehicle is plugged into the factory's power supply. And if you have what you call a power hedging agreement with the KPLC, such that after years of data collection, this is the amount we pay for power. So you set up like a 5-year hedging agreement. So even if you plug your power system, then you are 2 years into your agreement, diesel consumption goes to zero.
I
It's
mean, the
abnormally
solution.
simple, or we are the ones who are crazy.
We are the crazy ones, my brother.
Yeah.
We are
Something,
the crazy ones.
yeah. So that's why I
It's-
said
mm,
an economically empowered electorate may bring the political engine to a serious shutdown.
mm.
We don't
We
want
need to
that.
starve. We need to starve that industrial complex and then divert it to the real economy. That
It
energy,
can only
that
be done
creativity needs
by
to go to,
industrialists.
yeah.
People who, let's say, have a factory. I know some of these factories, they have vehicles which are what we call assigned for short routes, then you have the long route. I can say from now on, these short route vehicles, these small NQR and PR, get rid of them, get me an electric vehicle, get that Basigo, tell the Basigo people, can you reinforce the springs? Now I'm carrying, let's say, bread
Mm,
for any commodity that is operating within 100-kilometer radius because the Basigo does 250 kilometers
mm.
on a full charge. And then it's not a big deal because whenever you do one trip, Ukirudi, you plug it in. All right, so you're taking care of
And
that.
you could even strategically put the chargers at certain points.
For a factory, you just place it in your premises, because
Mm.
if the vehicle is 250 and you are covering a radius of 100, you are going 100 coming back, you are plugged in. You are going coming back, you are plug it in. Then for the long distance vehicles going above 5, you use hybrids.
Mm.
Then you start, if it is deliveries, depending on the what do you call it, the location and security, you can start using what you call drone delivery. There's a guy I follow called Simon Squibb. He
Mhm.
put uh, a tweet. He said, "If I gave you $100 for a company, what would you do? If I'm in UK and I'm given $100, I don't know how much I'll spend on setups, but the equipment I'll buy will be a drone specifically set up to do deliveries using image recognition or facial recognition, such that the person making the order, we capture his face, so that you have to stand in front of the drone, then it drops you." And I give the name, I call it the name, the Carrier Pigeon Limited, Carrier Pigeon Services. Those Carrier Pigeons of the
Mm.
medieval days, they used to fly
Mm.
with the messages.
Pigeons, yeah.
Now, yes, you call the Carrier Pigeon Service, such that instead of somebody riding a bicycle or a small motorbike crossing the streets and what, this thing can fly over avenues back and forth. You are saving money. So it's up to you as the individual business owner to sit with your team and say, listen, government policy is out of our hands. You can do lobbying and whatnot, but government policy is out of our hands. Now, yeah, the one on the blue, the red one, no, these are the EVs,
Yeah.
uh, the Kira EV. Then these two, these
Are
are
the
the diesel, Kayola diesel coach.
mm.
Now, these EVs, is it just supposed to make them into vans? Can make them a van. Hmm.
I wonder
So,
actually how many they have produced. But the story behind it is actually quite interesting. I need to actually look into it because I listened to a bit of it, and I understand this was a university project of a professor with his students. And
yeah.
our our schools, our universities,
Hmm.
are they just consumption institutes of just picking what the West has done, and there's no production of new knowledge from ourselves? I
I'll,
mean,
I'll
this
send
is
you a
where
picture of
this is where these
well,
opportunities should exist. This is where this where our problem solving should be handled, which is take it to the universities, let them brainstorm and come up with probable solutions for some of these problems that ail us. But we need to really source those solutions internally, be self-sufficient economies.
especially what that which is normally uh, imported. At the very least, let's start assembling it. And
Hundred
during
percent.
assembly, uh, you learn about it and build your own. So
Yeah, it's all
you don't
about the
know.
knowledge transfer that happens through that. That's a China approach. That's what all
Mm,
these Asian tigers have gone through. Now we are all
mm,
consuming cars from Asia. We
mm.
are all consuming appliances from the Asian. If it's the South Koreans, you probably have an LG, a Samsung, a Sony. If it's a car, you're probably driving a Toyota, a Hyundai, a Kia, and these are solid vehicles. These are solid vehicles. So just imagine these are vehicles that they consume within themselves, so they're able to sustain their own
And
production,
ours are
even
secondary.
export.
Ours are
Uh,
secondary. They are called grey imports.
yes, it's after the
Mm.
cars has done 100,000 miles. That's what
Eight
they
years.
send here.
Mm.
Man,
So it's very
man.
unfortunate, and that's why I said it's not like those guys are stupid. They know very well that if you get empowered, some politicians will actually fall out.
Mm,
Some politicians will actually become irrelevant because you put them to task and listen. We now have 80% locally built cars. What is your say on expanding our markets? The average politician will become standard right there and then.
Mm,
There and then. That issue of remember when I told you about the use of green banana flour?
mm,
It was actually put to practice last week, but one, my mother in Busia, she supplies pancakes somewhere. She did it.
mm,
The only downside that the memories come up with a bit of a darkish color. So that
mm.
one you sort it by introducing yellow food color in the dough. You put yellow food color, you are done. Otherwise, she said the pancakes are fantastic.
Yeah, maybe you should send us a picture of some of those when you get them.
Yeah, maybe I'll tell her, or maybe I'll buy the matoke, dry them, put them in my grinder, then I'll take them somewhere to be cooked. Then you see. But
Mm,
she said she made them; they are very okay, apart from the
mm.
color, which can be sorted by food color. Now imagine having an entire
Is
factory
the
for that.
color that bad? Can we just have different colors? I mean, if the taste is good, I mean, what does it look? It looks brownish.
I don't know, but the thing is, this as long as it is edible, she said it, they were edible and they were okay.
Mm,
We just industrial. You see, once you bring so many heads together and you're talking about industrialization of the system, those are very tiny issues that can be circumvented or solved permanently. Now imagine this is a product that does not require fertilizer. And now you can also enrich it using the banana peelings. You put the
mm,
banana peelings. In fact, we were discussing someone like if you are in Kisii, you have what you call quartiles, whereby the first quartile you harvest, you put in the machine, then the peelings are prepared as organic fertilizer, and you enrich it. Then you next go to the next quartile. So the output of the land is just 100% throughout, because by the time you get to the first quartile, you've gone through three. That one is fallow and it has received nourishment from the organic fertilizer from the peelings. And
mm,
then within that factory, within that land, is where the factory is inside there. No cartels, no nothing. So all farmers who are on that scheme know where their product is going. You've actually that extra $200 million you are saving, you are consuming in importing wheat. You've hacked off a very huge chunk of it.
mm,
It is looking at you, and I don't know the people who are. I normally say ukubwa bila ujuzi ni ushenzi. They're
mm,
just hogging the space there at very high levels, and that's where I normally say like a ship.
mm,
The captain is on top. You don't see the captain of the ship walking around with spanners, with greasy over. No, he's kept in a very nice air condition so that he can think clearly. He sees ahead. He has the radar. He'll decide, okay, this direction is wrong. Plot chart a course for this area. That's why he's in a suit. He's in a nice looking environment. We want him to be like that so that he can think. But if he's going around in overalls and very dirty clothes, we will wonder who atapiga meli kwa mwamba bwana. So these people occupy this. They ride in these big vehicles because we want them to be very comfortable. They are the thinking machines of the nation. But unfortunately, uh, some of them are better than them. So we wonder, like I was listening to this guy called Simon Sinek. The
mm.
parts of leadership are there because we want you to think. You are the ones who will face the problem head on. But you're
100%.
generating the problem itself.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You are,
You
you are
know,
the one.
I that's true. You know, I always one example that I look at is, particularly like business travelers.
Mm,
For you, you might think when they travel business or
mm,
first class, it's
mm,
like a luxury,
mm,
but it's not, because if this guy has to travel and be so, let's say he probably takes the KQ flight from Nairobi to New York for a business meeting.
mm,
By the time he's waking up in New York for his business, he needs to be top notch, to have rested well, and to be fresh enough to then be able to effectively participate in that meeting. He can't do that if he was in the economy coach part, because then
Mm.
you're squeezed in. It's very uncomfortable. Sleeping probably you can't even stretch your seat enough to sleep well. So by the time you're landing on the other side, you're so tired, jet lagged. By the time you get your mind straight, it'll be 24 hours later after landing. So then you've lost a day. So yes, I agree. These perks that we give our leaders, the protection that we accord them, is to ensure that their sole focus and dedication is on the task they have at hand. And because we know they are taking in quite a lot of a load, a bigger load. When you think of a president of Kenya, of someone else, running a country is not a small job.
This is no
Yeah,
joke.
it's
It's
no
no
joke,
joke.
bro.
We want you to be as comfortable as possible. We don't want you. You are head of state, then you are there. I don't know negotiating. I don't know cutting onions, and I don't know Sukari
Preparing
Mwisha.
your own dinner.
It,
Eh?
we really get. We'll be very
Ama
concerned.
ni kama ile complain ya Raila ya choo, hata
Yeah,
choo
sure.
sina, carpet sina, so
We look at you and say, "This is the person we
it's
are
so
expecting to
true.
lead." We have we have a problem. It reminds me of this. There's this vehicle, Mitsubishi FH.
Yeah,
Uh, when you listen to drivers, they call that vehicle Mahakama, like a court. So I was
yeah,
asking, why is it called Mahakama?
yeah,
Somebody told me, I don't know if the new version FN they solved, but the old version, the FH, the
yeah,
driver's seat has no adjustment.
yeah.
Eh, there's no seat adjustment as a driver. So we call it Mahakama. So we do not want our leaders to be in Mahakama mode, whereby you are so constricted, things are not working, you are the one struggling to drive in horrible traffic and whatnot, budgeting for spares for your car. No, hiyo wacha tutakufanyia. You just think where Kenya will be 5 years from now, then another 5 years, ukishatoka kwa kiti, you prepare the roadmap, the incoming, square na glitches. That's why we are keeping you safe.
100%, 100%.
Mm.
Man, what's that? Is that
One
is 1 hour? How many minutes?
1 hour and 7 years of pure brainstorming, no
Yeah.
rehearsals, no nothing. This is the beauty of the male mind, man. So I love to take some time off. And yeah, that Formula One thing was distracting me.
Yeah, it was.
I don't think I could have gone this far. I was like,
You, you
ala,
need you need to
amepitwa.
be
Ameona
fully.
amepitwa huyu bwana. Ongeza speed bwana. Unapitwa kwa nini? The way I
It's
go mad
always
whenever Hamilton overtakes, the neighbors can hear him. Yes. So
as they
it
say,
was a
you
waste
can't
system.
you can't serve two masters. You have to be fully present on
Impossible.
one. One
Im-
has to take a hit. But
Impossible. So
that was a really good conversation that we had,
mm,
and
mm.
looking at the political drama of Kenya. Do you protest or do you take full charge of your own life? Thinking through our economies, how do you ensure we insulate ourselves from these external shocks and become more self-sufficient? How do we
Yeah.
collaborate with our national or neighbors? Thinking of the Kayola innovation out of Uganda. I mean, that's a brilliant thing. That's the kind of thing we need to support. And I
Mm.
mean, we could even ride on it in terms of how do we even add a Kenyan part to it. Yeah, to support it. This could be an East Africa, an East African kind of
Initiative.
initiative. Yeah, that
Can give
that
a
we all
shout
work
out to
together.
our brother Lut family. We've not seen him for a long time.
Hey, Lut,
Uh,
where's
Karibu
this
sana
guy
bro.
been?
Umeingia wakati
Yeah,
tunafunga, but still karibu sana. Nice to see you here.
thank you, Lut, and we also appreciate our ever-present
Ever present Lone Wolf audience, Sharif Mustafa.
Sharif Mustafa. Thank you very much for your support. Thanks,
Mm.
guys. We do appreciate you. I think we need to get back our the M-Pesa code, and if you guys want to
Sharif
appreciate
Mustafa
us,
normally does it. Sharif Mustafa is
yeah.
very consistent on it.
Oh, thank you
Uh,
very much, Sharif. I know, and
mm,
he's also, even on Cube. I think this guy even donates every
mm.
day. He would throw in a $5,
At least
$10.
it
Thanks.
shows that we are not rambling for nothing. I know sometimes you may talk for a while, then you start thinking maybe I'm crazy and I don't know. And
It's
chances
true.
are we may be mad. Some of these things we talk about, they are so simple. They are so simple, and I'm like, what do these top officials talk about when they are in those offices? It's
They're just
really.
probably they're just probably working on how they enrich themselves. So everyone is, oh yeah, yeah, umesikia hiyo deal inakuja. Sasa utafanya nini? So, and then it becomes just jostling for interests. And then, I was actually given a perfect example with regards to Bloomberg TV network. It was looking to establish its Africa
Mm,
office in Kenya, but it
mhm,
ended up moving that to Rwanda.
uh-huh,
And I think the way somebody described it, I was asking, how can we lose that opportunity? Kenya's, if it is the human resource, it's all there. If it's infrastructure support, it's all there. There's nothing that we lack. But then it becomes, oh, okay, where are these guys to be? Okay, we want them, they're thinking of taking up maybe an office in Upper Hill. Oh, who is the owner of that office? So it becomes everyone is jostling. Hey, mi nataka hiyo rent ya hao watu. Mimi ndio nitakuwa landlord wao. Oh, mimi ndio nitakuwa. So by the time these guys are coming, because there are all these interests
mm,
positioned to see how they can earn from these guys,
mm. Or like
and
supplying,
they're,
let's say
and they're even asking
supplying
for benefits.
stationery. Mi ndo nitakuwa
Yes,
napeleka chai huko, mi ndio supplier wa kalamu and subnormal.
because there's no one center of power to direct some of these things, like what you have here in Rwanda.
Mm,
It becomes, before you know it, they become so frustrated around setting up and around looking at what kind of benefits that the government accord them, because they will bring job opportunities. I mean, if these are people that the minute they establish the office, about 100 or so people will be hired. I mean, those are serious people we should consider, and what that portends for the future. That's just in terms of setting up. I agree what is Sharif Mustafa is here. Rwanda is not better than Kenya, but they are more serious and consistent. It's just that follow through, how organized they are. There's no you're working with 10 people. There's a channel you go to and you get assistance through that. So you won't get to hear from 101 people all looking to see how they can milk you. So that's why they beat us. That level of being organized, that level of order, that level of follow through. There's a single policy and there's somebody running that and following that through, and all government agencies are all aligned to one goal. So those are some of the areas and where we fail. And yeah, before we turn this into another 2-hour show, I think
remember
we need
to
to put a pause.
look at this channel for Lute Family. I've already subscribed to it. I'll go through
Thanks,
it.
Lut. Yeah,
And
I saw him saying that he was been working on his shoots. Thank you, Lut, for sharing this with us. Let
I've
me
already
even put
made
it
my
up here.
subscription for that. I'll go through it. So,
So
gentlemen, you
Ignite
can say adios.
Synergy. Let's all
Mm.
sign up and subscribe to it. Thank you, Lut. We'll support you through this, and we appreciate you guys' support. Let's call it a night. See you.
Adios.
Adios, muchachos.